Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. Hello and welcome to another episode of the VR Untethered podcast, where we are untethered from reality, but not untethered from Christmas. At least not entirely. It was only yesterday, so we are still very, very tethered to it.
Very much in the season, as you can tell. Josh is not Brad. He's still never.
I'm not Brad. You're not Josh.
I keep forgetting. I'm at this point just not. That I think we're not.
Well, at least we're not doing I'm not Josh, and you're not.
Okay, that's where we end, folks. So now that you've gotten your quest, you know who we're talking.
Quest 2, even.
Quest 2. Well,
we might have something in store for you to help you use it and abuse it in ways that are fun.
Okay.
Or something like that.
I'm following your lead on this. You're going to have to. I will follow you.
Anyways, we're going to start off with our highlights, if we have any. And then we'll move into, because this is our last episode of the year. We normally record on Saturdays, and well, the next Saturday is technically next year. So this is technically our post-Christmas and our New Year's episode, all rolled into one awesome Untethered bundle.
Welcome to 2020 MVR Untethered
and beyond.
True. We're hoping to go way beyond now with the question. Ooh, your lighting just changed dramatically.
Oh, it was a dramatic moment.
Yes, it was. Nice work there. We were going to discuss the 5 best games that were released this year for the Quest and for PC. And
5, not necessarily best games that released this year for the PCVR, but the 5 or so that we enjoyed the most in PCVR.
In trying to work out this list, we realized there's no way we could limit it to 5 of each, so we're just going to have to bear.
So it's going to be an unspecified as of the recording number. We can put the actual number in the title of the video when we upload it.
That'll make us look like we were doing it on cue. That's great. But year,
first highlight.
First highlight.
Do you have any highlights this week, Brad?
My highlight this week was the sale, I guess. The sale on the 3 remaining games I don't own on the Quest platform. And unfortunately, the 3 remaining games I don't own were the only ones not on sale, so I'm going to have to bite the bullet. After I discover what Christmas tree, skate,
video game,
controller, and box actually means. That's been quite the puzzle this week.
Yes. I still think that my interpretation of it is probably correct, because number one, it fits the rebus of tree, skate, game, because that's the word used to bring that one up, is video game or game. So tree, skate, game, 3 great games, and package or box, 3 great games package. Oculus Store, the bundle of 3 great games. It also fits because remember when Oculus teased to watch the Video Game Awards because something big, and there was nothing big?
Yep.
It also fits that pattern.
At this point, I don't think Foculus fits any pattern, to be honest with you. And I would not be surprised to see them make the drastic mistake of releasing Horizons today so that everybody could jump in.
Technically, this is we are recording this 24 minutes after they would normally release a new game. So let me pull open my app real quick and check in the new releases of the store section.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll just do a dance here for everybody. And
nope. No new release.
That's crazy. That really is crazy. I mean, I am sure a lot of people stopped purchasing at that moment, wondering what was coming out today.
Yeah.
Now, when I looked at it, I looked at you better hurry and get your stuff out from under the Christmas tree because everything that's left over, we're taking control and putting it in the box. So, like, sale over, was the message I got there. Like, hurry up and get this.
Well, no, I still think my interpretation is the right one because it fits the rebus and it makes no sense that they have a big teaser announcement for something small and mundane.
Okay, so what did they release today?
They did have a new a new holiday deal today, a new game or whatever. So
Trover Saves the Universe is the day.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
There really is only like 4 or 5 games that have been released that have never been on. I think The Exorcist has never been on sale, ever.
Beat Saber has never been on sale.
Beat Saber has never been on sale. So far, Saints and Sinners, but it's only been out for a couple of months, so we can't say never there. Solaris, they can't really give away. Sorry, Solaris. I bought you day one, minute one, so I deserve to say whatever I want. And they're still pushing Tales of the Curious Pets.
Well, if they bring that down to $2, maybe.
$1.79. And actually, I picked up Gloomy Eyes yesterday. It was like, for the $3.50, okay, I'm in. That was an okay deal. And I also picked up the Walkabout Mini Golf, which gets 5. I looked up all the 5-star games, all 5 of them. That's it. There's only like 5 games on the Quest store that actually have 5 stars. Okay. And the rest of them, you're going at about 4.5.
Okay.
And that's what I was using to base, do I really want any other games that I don't own?
Okay.
Other than the fact that I didn't see any prices other than purchased, which sort of...
I see a lot of unpurchased because I've been a little bit more discriminated than some other people have been. And no, I don't necessarily mean you. I mean...
I know who you mean. We all know who you mean. And I've been a bit more discriminating lately because at this point I do have unplayed games in my library. So there's no reason to rush into the next one until there's a real advancement. Like Blast On, I bought right away. I saw the possibility, and they've done some amazing things with that in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I've really bought much new since Blast On that I didn't think could be bought at this time of year and get a better price on it.
Right. Okay, well, moving on to my highlights. I think probably one of my biggest highlights this week was finally getting to check out the Virtual Market 5. It had some so cool things in there. This is, again, VR chat. It seems like said several times a year has Virtual Market, which is where artists and model makers and developers and big companies even to get together and they make booth for a virtual marketplace within VR chat. And there's usually like 4 or 5 different environments and then 3 to 5 different variations of that environment. So it's like 20 plus, technically speaking, different worlds to jump into and explore everything that they've got in the virtual market. The official starting world has a Disney store in it. It's primarily focused on women, it appears, because it has jewelry and it has tea sets and it's got figurines and it's got sweatshirts or whatever. All of which, if you click on them, open up a web page where you can then purchase them and have them shipped. So, but there's an area in the back of the store where you can go into the Marvel area, and it shows a trailer of, I'm guessing, the Black Widow movie.
Okay.
And it's got a big giant Iron Man suit in front of you where you can click a button that says change, and he changes his position into various poses, and every click of that button opens up a web page in your browser. But there are some other things in there, and then that's basically it. It's for the Disney Store. You have to click agree on a sign before you can enter the store, though, that basically is a privacy disclaimer and whatnot, and saying don't record or stream or something like that, or
Right. We're just putting it here for anybody in the world to see, but you can't let anybody else see it because why? It's an advertisement, and you don't want to let other people see your advertisement. Okay.
Yeah. There was also an Unreal booth in the first world where you went in and you could pick up a pair of Unreal Light and put them up to your eyes. Then you'd see a virtual environment within the virtual environment you're already in. And a video would start playing in front of you. So, and in another world, there was an HP Reverb G2 and VR Ready laptop booth where you could pick up a pair of the HP Reverb G2 and look at the laptop to pick it up, hold it, and if you answered their survey, you got a free copy of the models for the G2 and the laptop. Along with a very permissive license, allowing you to basically do anything with it as long as you do proper attribution. So.
Okay. Yeah.
And there were Oculus Quest 2 advertisements all over the place as well, too.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. This is... Oculus is having some real troubles. I mean, we'll get into that later in the show if you want, but Oculus is Europe is really facing down with Oculus. Oculus, it seems that Facebook took the wrong time to make the social approach.
Yeah, it's not Oculus that they're upset with necessarily, it's Facebook.
Right, well, Foculus.
I know, it's a Facebook-owned Oculus, but no, the parent company that they're upset with, not the subsidiary company, necessarily. Meanwhile, I think probably my favorite experience in the Virtual Market 5 was checking out the Godzilla booth.
Godzilla had his own booth?
Yes.
Wow.
There was a Godzilla monster in there, and you can buy accessories for your avatar. A Godzilla head, Godzilla feet, Godzilla tail, etc.
Where's this been all my life?
But if you go upstairs, you can go into a Godzilla experience where you are on a rooftop, a flat rooftop. So it's like New York or Tokyo, probably New York, but probably Tokyo, who knows. One of those two places where they have high rises with a flat roof where you can be on that flat roof. And you see Godzilla over there, and he's just tearing the city apart. He's doing his trademark roar, shooting his laser out of his mouth, toppling buildings. Airplanes go by overhead, and they're dropping bombs on them, and he kind of punches over, and he starts sprouting lasers out of his spine that blow up all the bombs before they reach him. And then he turns around and he faces you. And he opens his mouth, and you see the laser charging. And then they come towards you, and everything goes white, and you're back in the booth.
Okay, sounds like a okay thing to do while you're there. I mean, better than trying on the HP Reverb headset, right? A little more
Yes.
exciting. Watching
Yes.
the Iron Man change positions.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the Godzilla exhibit, folks. That's the first one you should see.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's um I saw someone else on the Twitter post that this has been the most generous VR market so far, um, in that there are a lot of completely free avatars to be had that are to be had that are not you're walking around with a big sign over your head saying this is a demo, or
Right.
just completely free and given away. So
That's cool.
yeah,
I
so
mean, it really is about time that avatars became something that we could all just use
yeah,
the way that you do use them in VR chat, but there shouldn't really be much of a fee for those unless it's something that you're going to own specifically.
right.
It's like,
One thing that I wish, and some of the booths have that they had a button where you could translate into English, or some of the signage there. I wish that there were the equivalent of the Google Translate extension in VR chat,
mm.
because almost everything in there is Japanese, so you can't read it unless you know that.
Which is going to be very difficult for most people that are not from
Yeah,
Japan. So, yeah, I can see that being a problem.
yeah. So, but there is there are some that they remembered to put English words in there as well for the English speaking users, and there are some where they had a translate to English button, but it didn't apply to everything in the booth, just the part that was right next to the button. So
Right. Oh, you just took me right into Alt Deus, and I watched the trailer for Alt Deus yesterday, and no, I'm sorry, I can't. I can't hear singing while I'm at war, and it's just too much. I don't know. I don't.
well,
It was very
there's an anime that's all about doing battle with music. That's how the battles are fought. Is the scantily clad female characters sing, and that's how they fight the giant robots that are coming to destroy the planet.
hmm hmm I know. hmm
I thought that was a little bit weird, but okay.
it's let's just say the Japanese have different methods of occupying your mind with things you never would have thought of if you hadn't been brought up in Japan. Really, seriously,
Oh, yeah.
I tried. I really did try with this
Yeah,
one.
I was showing, or not showing, but reading to my wife the other day some of the anime titles on Crunchyroll.
That's a joke in itself. I mean, yeah, the titles are pretty funny, but
Yeah, one of them is like, with a cat and a dog, every day is fun.
as I said, I don't really seem to understand the culture. I'm really at a loss. Every time I see an anime or a manga, I just keep thinking Speed Racer and the chimp. I mean, it really has moved very little from there, other than girls in
What
really
about Ronin Warriors? Remember that from Fox? Uh, Fox 13 or whatever, ages ago, Ronin Warriors. There was a TV show that was a cartoon.
ages ago, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
ages ago, and also Tobor the Eighth. I mean, they've been,
yeah.
they've always been trickling into the
Mhm.
country for almost 100, about 60 years now, 70 years. Pretty much anything post World
Yeah,
War II was anime
yeah.
or manga of some sort, and I don't know. I know they like girls in school uniforms, but they like girls that are like 23 in school uniforms, and I I've seen a few of the Japanese weddings where they marry the avatars, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not.
and it's the Japanese people that have that head-mounted robot that will to feed you stuff to synchronize with the VR app.
If you think you have it bad, they must really have it bad because they do not want to have anything to do with reality. It's like I don't get it. I'm back at Sailor
And my
Moon.
apologies to our Japanese viewers,
Right.
if there
Oh
are
yeah.
any,
We're just
if there
trying.
are any left at this point.
Right. And if you are there and you'd like to enlighten us as to what's going on there, we'd be more than happy to read your interpretation.
Yeah.
But
Because I don't want you to go away with the wrong impression. I do enjoy anime. Brad only enjoys specific anime.
correct. Correct. And I just don't like when everything seems to be a riff on everything else. I
Well,
don't
yeah.
see much new coming out of the anime world that makes me go like, "Oh wow, that's cool."
Oh, yeah, there is some, but yeah, I mean, like with books, even though most books have variations of the same plot, with different characters and different settings, and.
Are you going back to Stephen King? There's been 7 original stories told since the beginning of time, and everything else is just a variation. Okay.
Something like that. But there's only a few types of plots, and there's only so many different ways you can vary that. Everything else that makes it so different is the author's voice.
True.
Do you like this author better than that author? Okay, then read his Arthurian legends. Don't read his Arthurian legends.
Oh, you just hit my sore spot. I've
No.
studied Arthurian legend since, I don't know why, but since I'm a kid. And I've read everything from La Morte d'Arthur by Sir Thomas Malory, which was written like in 1482 or something,
Right.
straight through everything that's been written now. And there are so many variations on the Arthurian theme. I can't possibly begin to go there.
What about what was the Nikolai Tolstoy, right? Is that thing?
Oh, yeah.
What about his? His
No.
his was weird.
Yeah. They've all been weird lately. They've all
I
gotten
mean,
really, really strange.
my main takeaway from that one was his waxing lyrical about Uther, I think, having musicians perform that were fart musicians.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, what? And then Uther was having the one guy hold the note until his eye popped out. I'm like, what the? What am I reading?
Everybody portrays Uther from everything from a decent guy to the craziest lunatic that ever walked on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So Uther's got a bad rap. And Arthur, meanwhile, has this great rap, even though he slept with his sister, was killed by his bastard son. I mean, the normal stuff for a king. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, everybody is stuck with Sword in the Stone, and they think of Arthur as this cool little blonde kid who ended up
Right.
with an old
That's
crazy
more-
wizard.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty fun. I would like a good Arturian or Knight piece in Quest in VR. I don't think we've had a really good one yet.
I don't think we've had any Arthurian ones in VR, have we?
No, the closest we come is like Elven or any of
Right.
the Hobbitish stuff. That's the only
Right.
time we see anything Knight-like or Orc-like or Dragonish.
Right.
So yeah, I'm
Yep.
surprised. A good
right, well-
dragon game.
Oh, now that we are 21 minutes in, though, I think we need to stop talking about random non-VR related stuff and then get into what we promised you, our top
5,
however
15,
many.
20, 37 and counting. Okay. Speaking of which, I'll then go into After You Fall, Until You Fall. Until You Fall is a great
After
game.
the Fall is a different game.
It is. I know. That's why I was saying it. It was like, wait, I haven't played After the Fall yet. I've just played Until You Fall. Until You Fall, I guess, is the closest you're going to come to being a knight. It's somewhat medieval. The setting is medieval. The colors are very 1980s, stripping your brains out psychedelic.
Yes.
But but the play itself is very night-like, very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
night-like. So
Yeah.
I guess that's besides my edge.
And one thing I like about that is it. I feel it almost does a better job than um, Gargantua in properly feeling like you're doing proper sword play.
Yes, it is because Gargantua is more of a melee game. Not
Yeah,
that it's not, but it is. You have
right.
more than just you.
So Gargantua tries in that if you're just going, you're not going to do much, and if you to do that, you're going to do more. But you don't have to, do actual moves. You can just go as long as you're making some big enough motions.
Right, and you might be blocking something, but you're not really attacked in accidental blocking because of your
Right.
emotions and stuff.
Right.
Whereas this, you have to have your sword in a certain position,
Right.
or the certain weapon in a certain hand in a certain position, and still be able to see the other enemies that are coming to you and be able to time your attacks and things like that. It's a great game. It really is. It's fun. It's fast, and it takes a long time. You can take as long as you want with it. And
Yeah.
you can change levels whenever you want, the levels of
Yep.
difficulty, which is a nice
And
feature.
they have a lot of lore built into it.
Right.
And if you dip into the Discord, there's a lot there. It's a very active Discord.
Oh, I have not
And
noticed.
they've got lore in there that supplements and whatnot. And they've got a faction organization in the Discord and whatnot. And
Uh, Yeah, see, this is the type of game that could handle that, though. But it's not multiplayer; it's only single player. So
Right.
the faction thing is kind of weird, but I guess.
Because you can choose different types of rune knights in the game.
True.
And each one is a representative of a different faction in the lore. So
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I have not read the lore, so I did not realize that.
I have read the lore. I don't have the game.
Hey, we should get
So
together. We can really. We know everything together. But
yeah.
that's a good one, and I
So
guess that was one of my top five this year too.
yeah, yeah. And just to clarify, that was one of your top 5 for the quest, right?
West, right?
Okay.
Yes, I'm not
Um,
talking about PC games much because I haven't played PC much this year. I haven't been close
okay.
to PC.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say one of my top 5 for the quest/quest 2 that released this year was Lies Beneath. So, it was a fun horror game. Well,
Survival horror.
yeah, not really horror, but horrific. You know, it wasn't really, unless you're, how do I put it without offending people? Yeah, I don't care. Easily scared. It wasn't really a horror game like, say, Silent Hill playable trailer or whatever. Or Dread Halls. It wasn't one that would leave you shivering and quivering and turning into jello. This is a combat adventure game, kind of where you are progressing through a story. Yet there are monsters. You get to fight off the monsters instead of only being able to run away or hide. So you have agency, which lessens the horror aspect of it.
Right.
So
To some degree, but it still gives you the atmosphere and the
Right.
eeriness of where you are. That does give you an eerie
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
too. But it is a comic book
And it is
game.
a very highly stylized game in that you are literally in a comic book. Everything is comic book style artwork. When you hit things, you'll see a little sound effects, a balloon pop up that says squelch or whatever. Yeah.
Squelch.
Well, that's not actually in there, but
Good.
if if you were hitting into the right the sort of substance, it should say squelched.
Right.
But
You're talking about the combo sounds.
and it's kind of a psychological horror game in some ways, even though it's just fighting enemies and whatnot. At the end, it's revealed that it's kind of psychological. So,
Right.
without giving away the end. No.
Right, exactly. It's good. It's stylized. It's one that I can accept being that stylized. Sort of like Until You Fall. Until You
Right.
Fall was stylized as well. Not quite as much. The coloring is where we know
Right.
what stylizes that one. The one I'm having problems with is Jurassic World.
Right.
Everybody seems to
But
really
that's
enjoy
not
it.
on our top 5, I don't think, is it?
No, but,
Yeah.
but if you're going to mention
It's
live,
just
you
terrifying.
sort of have to mention the cell shading route
Yeah.
that some games are going. That's all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I've heard some mixed reviews about that, but that's neither here nor there because we're not talking about that.
And we're not. It's not one of my favorite games of the year, so I don't have
Okay.
it. Can't say.
So what's another one of yours?
Another one of mine would have to be Population One. There's no getting around it. Population One is probably my favorite game of the year. Echo and Pop One were running neck and neck for a while, but then I don't know. As kids started entering each arena, nothing against you. We like young viewers as well. But there should sort of be like an age break. And I know that they're doing very well with their matchmaking now. They've really improved their matchmaking.
Right.
Pop One. I'd have to say of all the games really that came out this year, probably Population One came from nothing and became a fully formed, really fun game to play.
Yeah.
So that's
And it was starting off with people kind of having given up on it because they hadn't heard anything in a long while because it was coming soon for a long while.
so was everything, yes.
Yeah. You and I were in the beta, but we were technically under NDA at that time and couldn't really talk about it.
Right. I know. It
So
was hard not to.
we would see the people saying, "Is Population One coming? I haven't heard anything," and I'd be like, "Wait, come on." Yes, but I can't see it.
We hope it's coming. It looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, but like Josh said, we've been playing in it since, day one, really. And the devs have been unbelievably responsive, really unbelievably responsive. And they've created a game that everybody seems to enjoy playing. Even if they say they don't, they end up staying in there for 2 hours. So, it's virtually impossible not to enjoy yourself in there.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking for a shooter and a Rec Royale type fun game where you could do all sorts of stuff from flying to shooting to making friends, it's really got everything that VR needs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a really fun game. And I was a little bit not completely happy when they started talking about the microtransactions so soon. But how they have been doing it is you have a chance to win cosmetics as well. So it's not that you have to spend money, and they've got challenges where you can earn money within the game, so you don't necessarily have to spend real world money to get challenges. If you are patient enough and just go through all the challenges, you get enough money, and then you can get a custom weapon skin. So,
which is great that they do that for you. I mean, that's something once again that other developers would just like make you pay for that extra skin,
right?
As opposed to okay, play the game.
And they are adding content like crazy, like almost every day. How many custom map changes have they had now? They had Harvest, they had Winter, then they had the Christmas, they had the energy boxes one. So at least 4.
Right.
4
plus
5. Yeah. So,
And even the original one kept changing. They kept adding more things to it. They did add a few more spaces and a few more things as the Quest was able to handle it. They put a few more pieces in. I love the game. It's truly addicting. Don't buy it and think you're only going to play it once. It's an addictive game. And it's multiplayer, and you can make a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun in there.
Yeah. All right, well, that takes one off my list.
Population 2.
another one from my list then would be Phantom Covert Ops. A
Wow.
great game.
You just crossed that off
One of
my
the more
list.
expensive ones, a $30 game. What?
I'm crossing it off my list over here.
Oh, okay. It's the closest thing yet that we have ever had in VR to a Metal Gear Solid style game. It's very linear, but then again, so is Metal Gear Solid. It was a linear game. It wasn't a branching narrative game. It was a linear narrative. And this is very much like it. And you have to rely on stealth, because if you go through guns blazing, you're probably not going to finish the mission.
I'd say you're definitely not. Depending on where and when, but yeah, you're going to make life a lot harder for yourself.
Yeah.
Stealth is the way to go. Unlike Espire 1, where it's always going to come to run and gun pretty much, I think.
Yeah, at some point, yeah. And it did have an unusual mechanic for the locomotion, but I think it worked.
It did?
Yeah, and I mean, the kayaking your way through. I mean, yeah, they kind of had to contrive a base for you to go through that would allow that to work, but
they had to do it, not me. They came up with a good one, so I'm okay with it. You know,
exactly.
And it's very atmospheric, certainly atmospheric. You feel like you're actually playing the game, and you do feel like, you know, at times you do feel like you have to be stealthy, and you don't like the noise that you're making. It's great.
Right.
In that respect. It does put you in the kayak.
Yeah.
Whoever thought you'd be able to do that? So I would have to give it also a double thumbs up, where the weapons placement are around you, and the ability to reach for your binoculars or certain guns.
Yeah. And one thing else about it that is truly awesome is David Hayter. They had the voice actor for the original Metal Gear Solid Snake. The voice actor for him is in this game. He's the bad guy.
Unfortunately.
He's a crazed Russian general bad guy.
Right. I love the way they made it
flying a helicopter.
But it's an abandoned Russian base, so the Russians don't even know it exists. You know, I don't know how we got that part, but the Russians don't even know it exists, but we do, and we were going through it. So whatever. It's a great game. Enjoy it, you know.
Yeah. So, all right. So another one from you, Brad.
Okay, going down the list over here again. I don't even know which ones were this year or last year, to be really honest with you.
Well, you can look at the release date on them.
Okay,
the store,
but
yeah.
Then I'm just going to default to Echo, because it needs to be defaulted to as one of the greatest games that came to the Quest, even when it was Quest 1, you know, before the Quest 2. And they have done a remarkable job of bringing a free game to the Quest that is certainly capable of being an esports game.
Oh, it is an esport, yeah.
Right. I mean, but becoming even, you know, one of the ones that lead esports into something that people will truly enjoy watching, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, the same problem that we have with some other things is we have to either find a way of controlling skill set or maturity to some degree, because some of these games
they've made progress in that area.
They did.
I mean, to be fair, Population 1 has some of that issue going on too, especially now that everybody and their younger brother has a Quest 2 and they're jumping in.
As of this morning, I understand.
Yeah.
If you really want to score high, just jump on in. There's a lot of newbies waiting for you.
A lot of screeching squeaker newbies, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. You could really build up your score. If Mr. Phillip can rise above Mikey, I got to get in there, because it means it's right.
Mikey hasn't been playing, so.
Yes, it is easy to beat the dead. So,
but yeah, I would agree. Echo Arena is a very awesome game. The only thing I have against it, and the main reason why I haven't been playing it for the past half year, is It's one where you definitely need a dedicated VR space with no one else in there, or if they are in there, they respect the boundaries and they don't lean forward into your play space and then get mad at you when you come this close to them. Because you will come that close to them.
Yeah. The one thing I would have to say is Echo is the only game I've ever played where I could start in one corner of a room, and when I finally end the game and take off the headset, I am in another position completely from wherever I would expect to be.
Oh, weren't you having an issue for a while where your guardian was like moving with you?
Yes, my guardian was like lifting up and moving with me. It was like that was with the Quest 1, I think, when we went to one of the versions, it like screwed that up.
Yeah.
And that really was off-putting. And the other thing is that people have to realize, even though you're playing with what looks like a disc and you want to throw it like a frisbee, it's a ball. And
well, you can throw it to frisbee style. It's just you can't get the maximum speed, and you lose a little bit of the fine-grained control. That doesn't work as well.
Which they've now changed even the control, because now I understand you can actually put curves in, like pre-programmed curving shot.
I haven't been in a while, so I haven't played around with that, but yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to try it out again. It's been a while.
Mikey's like, come on, being a goalie is already hard enough.
I know. It's like, but, you know, the one thing I will say about Quest is it does seem like more than 40% of the developers have enhanced their game throughout the year.
Well, yeah, and the existence of the Quest and now the Quest 2 has more than doubled the user base of a lot of these games as well. When the Quest version comes out, when the Quest 2 gets bought, you know.
It's funny because you look at the store and you see when it goes from, you know, pre-Quest to Quest, and you see it go from 400 users to 3,320, you know, and you go, okay then, a lot of Quest users out there that day.
Yeah. And we can't forget at least a mention of Screaming Quest 2 Kid.
Oh, God. Naruto.
That video originally posted by the Bearded Bard. I'm not sure of the reaction, but that was I believe his video that he showed or something like that, and a kid is in front of a tree opening up a box and a present, and it's the Quest 2, and in the background it looks like the other kid there is opening up Quest 2 as well. So there's at least 2 Quest 2s being opened up there. But one kid just sits there and just so high pitched that I can't hear the scream. And then he gets up and Naruto runs out of the room. Those are the kids playing Population 1 right now.
Oh, well, there was a very big article this morning in the, well, I use Google News, so I got it on my Google News, and I was seeing that parents of children under 13 who have bought a Quest 2 for their child are about to get in a very...
Tony Scarred Ghost on Twitter, so Tony, he wrote an article about that on his blog, yes. And yes, there is potential there for disaster because of that rule that children under 13 are not allowed to have a Facebook account, and you have to have a Facebook account to log in, and technically it's a violation of terms of service of Facebook if you allow your 13-year-old to use your Facebook account.
Correct. So how are they getting around?
Just be careful not to get caught, I guess, if you do this, because it's the only option. I get it, you know, and if they do get a report that a minor is using your account, be prepared to send a copy of your ID to them so you can have your account unlocked. One thing that was good about Tony's article is he did include in there the real reason for it. There are still so many people out there who believe that the reason is medical and safety concerns. That's why kids under 13 are not allowed. No, that's not it. There's nothing out there that indicates there's any sort of danger to the kids other than eye strain. However, there are laws out there protecting the privacy rights of children. And a lot of the companies, the easiest thing for them to do is say, we don't allow children under 13. Because that way, all of the burden is on the consumer, not on the company.
It makes perfect sense.
And Facebook chooses that option.
Well, they do
All Space officially chooses that option. All Space terms of service says nobody under 13.
And
for precisely that reason.
Right. So. Okay. If there's any parents watching this show, you have to at least monitor your child. If you're going to let them be in VR, you have to, because.
Yeah. However, Rec Room does have an option for that most parents seem to ignore. There's a junior account for Rec Room that you can have that will let your kids play Rec Room. The only problem is they cannot talk to or hear other players. They can still communicate with gestures and with typing.
Right.
They can't talk or hear other players. And because that's an annoying limitation, but it's one that allows them to comply with the law and allow the child accounts. But because of that limitation, a lot of kids are using their parents' accounts.
Sure, it's a very severe limitation. That's pretty draconian. And
yeah,
I don't have the answer, so I can't be the one to say.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I get that you don't want to be put in the position of being accused of knowingly capturing children's information, but that kind of makes a social VR game kind of unusable.
Mm-hmm. It does. It really does. So I'm not sure. Once again, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, really. We've given our kids, though, this year so much access to learning through a computer that they've learned how to use computers more than they ever did before. And they're going to find a way around whatever you're doing to be able to do what you want to do. So at this point in time, I would say a lot of parents should really be paying more attention to the tech behind what their kids are using. It's important now.
Yeah. I mean,
especially in VR, where you can't see what your kid's seeing. You just see your kid.
Unless you set up.
Unless you set it up to cast, exactly, and then you know, right? And then you also need the sound to come out to hear the other guys cursing, or what's your kid saying in there?
Right.
Is he starting a fight, or what's going on?
Is he finishing a fight?
Exactly. So
you don't start, but do finish. Right.
Weird the way fathers and mothers, react to fighting. With mothers saying, "Oh, you should never fight," and fathers saying, "You should always finish the fight." It's like.
Don't start it, but do finish it.
Do finish it. It's every father on the planet has that same advice, and every mother's like, "Don't ever fight. Nothing's worth fighting for." It's like, if you do fight, finish it.
Yeah. So, anyways, moving on before we run out of time.
How? I think we only hit 3 games so far. Go ahead.
My last Quest title I'm going to talk about is Onward. You can probably mark that one off of your list too. Maybe. Yes, Onward had a big graphical downgrade when it came to Quest, but that was needed because they are still in the process. I mean, still, they're not all the way done yet of reworking everything from the ground up, optimizing everything, improving everything. So to start that process, they had to start over, and they, in a very real sense, and start over with a graphical downgrade, but they are building it back up to better graphics as they go on. But they are making huge emphasis on performance and making sure that it performs right on all the platforms that it's on. But it's a great milsim game. I think the only milsim game technically that's on the Quest or the Quest 2. The Contractor can be a milsim in some of the game modes, but it's like halfway in between Pavlov and Onward. It occupies
its own space,
a little niche there. So, but Onward is a great game, and I'm really enjoying being in the league and playing competitive games and all that. So, I would give it a thumbs up and recommend it.
And I saw a couple of people in our Discord making maps for it in the map making contest, and
he named his winter map Dumpster Fire.
Yeah.
I think it's a commentary on the year.
I think there's been several commentaries on this year posted in all different places. Next year we can go through all the Easter eggs that were planted this year, but 2020 certainly given us plenty of memes, that's for sure. I'm just trying to think of any other games on the Quest that would really be notable. Because I'm sure we're leaving some out. I'm absolutely.
Oh, well, we're leaving a lot of games out. I mean, the Contractor itself could be on the top 5 list.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, it's just I haven't played it enough yet for it to be on my top 5 list.
It's too recent. That's what I was going to say. It's too recent for me to put onto my top 5 list.
Right. I mean, they just came out with World War II weapons. On the 23rd, so 3 days ago. Hear that upload VR? 23rd. It's already out.
Somebody wake them up and let them know, because they're still putting out today, I think, an article that said that they still don't know when it's going to be released. Right, it's coming. It came. It's they're weird. They really are. Upload is not the place to go for the definitive last word.
No, but it is one of the better places for a lot of news, because they to put out a lot of news that you always want to double check and ignore all the typos.
Right.
I mean,
and definitely watch the game trailers on a couple of different places before you take their word for it. And never read.
That would go with any of the websites out there. Honestly. Even with our podcast, you should go watch other podcasts, go watch other things, and then come back to us and tell us how good we did.
Because we did. No, our reviews are honest. I mean, we're not getting paid for any of them, and we spend way too much of our own money on these games.
If you want to pay us for them, we'd be really happy. We wouldn't say no.
Right? I wouldn't say no. I'm glad to hear you feel the same way. So. Or you can gift us different apps and we'll review them for you.
Yeah. So if you want to give us those 3 games that he doesn't have yet.
I don't know that there's 3 games I don't own. That's the thing. I was looking through the list, and really, it's like, wow, I can't find anything on sale that I don't own.
So it sounds like we are done with the top 5 for the Quest, so I'm going to go and do my top 5 for PCVR.
Alrighty. I will be commenting on your comments.
Number 1, Skyrim. And this is in no particular order. It's just like our top 5 for the Quest was in no particular order. But the Skyrim VR is an older game. It was older game before it came to VR, and it's been out for longer than this year, obviously. But it's a very enjoyable and solid title still. Being able to be a Dragonborn and being the main character in a very long story. That's one of the things I like about it, is that it's not over in just 3 hours. You know,
Right.
it's ongoing. And being able to progress and do various quests and progress along the story and gain more powers, and it's a very fun game. If you have a PC capable of VR, I would recommend hooking up Link, hooking up Virtual Desktop, whichever your preference is, and doing it. And the second, Carnage Chronicles, another RPG title. And to this one, in some ways, I like it a little bit more than I like Skyrim, because unlike Skyrim, Carnage was made for VR. It was made with VR in mind. It wasn't a flat game that was then translated into VR. So it's got better mechanics.
Right. It would have to accommodate the
and it runs a little bit more smoothly. The Skyrim at times can be a little stuttery, because it was originally a flat game and not intended for VR. But the Carnage is, and it's got an interesting storyline as well, and beautiful environment, and the combat is nice and fun. You have long range with the archery, you have up close with sword and shield and whatnot. You don't, as far as I know, get to become a magic user though. It's just, you're a warrior. So that's the only drawback I've got with it, is I'd like to be a magic user in it.
I know you like.
One of the reasons I'm looking forward to the Wizard, The Dark Times.
Me too.
So, another top game for PC VR is, drumroll please, you all knew it was coming, Half-Life Alyx. That's going to be on every top 5 list.
Right.
Half-Life Alyx.
That was the PC VR game of the year, I think. But,
yeah. I mean, they really did a good job with it. At times, personally, I think that they made it a little bit too easy in some ways, because there were times in the original Half-Life game where sorry, I'm distracted by my son. I wasn't done. There were times in the original Half-Life games where you'd get stuck and you'd have to work hard to get past an area. And so far, I've been doing Half-Life Alyx on normal. I've been taking my time. I've been doing other things, so I'm not all the way done with it yet. But for the most part, you can get past things on normal mode without having to do anything 20 different times until you finally figure out the key. So I realized a lot of that was, hey, VR, we can't have it be like that for VR because it's different,
Right.
But sometimes I think that they went a little bit too far in the you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So accommodating the VR nature of it.
Well, I think they
But
knew
overall, it's a very great game.
I think they knew how broad the appeal would be, so they had to keep it in, so everybody could play it pretty much.
Yeah, and it's a great game. It fits into the Half-Life universe very nicely, and it progresses the overall story. I'm not going to give any spoilers if you haven't already seen spoilers. on YouTube, of which there are plenty.
Well,
But it does progress the story, and it drastically changes some things in the story. So things that you thought you knew, you no longer know.
well, if you're going to have another sequel, you pretty much have to do that. So,
Yep. Well, so this is kind of a prequel because it takes place in between so some of the existing titles, I think.
a
Something
midquel?
like that.
A midquel? I've never heard of
A
them.
midquel, maybe, yeah.
That's interesting.
No, it's a prequel.
Sequel. Okay. We just created a new word, and Merriam Webster will be sending us 15 cents for every time you use it.
Another one of my top titles on there was The Last Goodbye. This is not a game, but it's an experience. A Holocaust survivor goes back and revisits a concentration camp, and basically giving you a tour, going through his experiences and his memories. And it's a mix of watching like a volumetric video of him and actually being in a 3D recreation of the environment, and it's very powerful and very moving. It's also not necessarily a pleasant and happy-go-lucky experience by any means, but it was very well done, and it's one that stuck in my mind as a top title. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, if it moves you, that's one of the things about VR is it could take you could see the same thing on a flat screen and it would not move you in the same direction or as much.
Right. And the last thing is Flipside Studio. That's been around for a while. It's one that I got into recently, and I used it for my Thanksgiving message, or message even. And it's fairly easy to use. It gives you lots of options. It lets you upload scenes and models and characters to use, and basically it's a little VR movie production studio. You can make, if you really wanted to, a short film entirely on your own with several characters interacting with each other and moving around and whatnot. And I haven't played around with it enough to be able to do a full story like that yet, but I can see how it is done. And it's on Steam and on Oculus.
Oh, it's on. I didn't know.
What?
Oh, on Oculus PC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Not on Quest, on Oculus.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna have to start making that.
It's an Oculus PC.
Well,
Oculus
pretty soon we're gonna
whatever you want to call it.
Right, we're gonna have to be referring to it as the PC platform for Oculus. Now that they're banging the Rift out the door as cheap as they can.
I know.
Like,
but yeah, it's a very fun, creative tool. So
that's great because there's not many that will let you actually create something like that in VR, which is nice. Plus,
right, and just like I forget now what the other one was called, but Mind something. Another one, but it only lets you do short things. But just like in that one, you are inhabiting the character that you are recording, and you can position cameras all around you. In Flipside, and you have a screen on your actual computer where you can switch between cameras on the fly and hook it into OBS and all that. And
like a 3D editing program, yeah.
What?
like a 3D animation program,
right.
Except in VR.
Yeah. Whereas the other one, I'm still blanking on the name, but the other one is fun as well. But you inhabit a character, go through that character's movements and dialogues, and you are limited to like 5 minutes or something like that, or some short time of recording, and then you jump into another character and you play back your first character, and you time your movement and the dialogue in this new character to fit in the right times with that.
That's cool.
So
I like that.
Yeah, so that's how the other one works. I haven't tried multiple characters in Flipside, but I would imagine it works similarly for when you are doing multiple characters. So
That's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to play with that one too. Oh,
yeah.
two of the games I
And
forgot to mention for Quest,
and
by the
both
way.
free.
There
Yeah.
you go. That makes
Go
it
ahead.
great. Mine aren't free. The ones I was gonna Moss, which is probably
Yeah.
Moss was one of the best games I've ever played in VR.
Yeah.
It was so
I don't think it was released this year, though. It was released last year, I think, wasn't
right,
it?
which is why I didn't think of it. But it's still, if you look, I think there's like 3,500 reviews, and it's 5-star. That's
it is a good game. Yeah, it's very good. One of the most beautiful titles out there too.
right, and different, and everything that you could say about a game, you could say about Moss. It
Right.
really was a fantastic experience. And there was one other one that I was going to mention, but I can't remember. I'll have to do it next year, I guess, in our 2021 episodes of
Yes.
Untethered from 2020, which will be nice.
Yes. So, looking back at 2020, no.
No, let's not do that. Looking forward to 2021 and straight ahead.
Looking back at 2020, all you see is a mushroom cloud.
Wherever you look, over there. Yeah, it's been a strange and crazy year for sure.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing will be all of you who have been following us throughout the year, that have been following all of these technical advances. Next year, when everybody wakes up to all of these things that have been happening this year that they're completely unaware of, you'll be ahead of the game, because
Yes.
there's a lot of people that have no idea what's happening out
Yeah,
there.
and who knows what next year will bring in the form of new advances and the technologies. You never know.
I think if I'm going to make a prediction, it looks like eye tracking is the big one for this coming year.
Yeah.
That will make the most impact. Eye tracking and improved hand tracking.
Yeah.
To be done.
I want to see field of vision increase.
Oh my God, they decreased it with Quest 2. It was crazy.
I know, but it's like literally one of the biggest drawbacks to me about VR, and I love VR, and it's a minuscule drawback. It does not hinder me from loving it in any way, but you are literally walking around like this in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You got this much view.
Yeah, I would have given it.
It lets you see a lot, but in reality, right now I can see like an angle of that with this going on. But without that, I can see either hand straight out 180 degrees.
Right. Now, you won't notice it much once you've gotten into the game, but as you get into the game, you will definitely feel.
Right. It's most noticeable in games like Onward, where you sometimes if you like in reality, let's say I'm in a corner and I want to watch there and there at the same time. In reality, I can just look halfway in between them to defocus a little bit and to pay attention to either one, and then enemy. But
Right.
in Onward, I've got to go.
Right. And if you're facing the wrong direction, you're
Right.
dead. Oh,
Right.
enemy.
Right, because when I'm looking there, I literally cannot see there at all. It's like, yeah.
I know. That was that's the next real move they have to do. And the only one that's done it is Pimax, and I refuse to wear that thing.
Way too expensive.
Well, not just way too expensive. You need a Guardian just for your headset. I mean, it's huge.
I know, it extends out to here and here.
Right. I'm going to put a 32-inch TV on my head and play VR. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I can't do that either. So.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they are working on the FOV issue, but yeah, that's not a solution that I think is incredibly practical yet, which is why it hasn't really taken off. I mean, there are users of it out there, but it hasn't really taken off. Not like the Quest has.
Right.
I mean, the Quest went.
Because the Quest you take out of the box, put it on your head, download
Good.
and play.
Right.
There's except for the friction that Facebook puts in the way for you to actually sign on and get in, after you get through that crap, you're done. As opposed to a computer with, okay, now update this, upgrade this, update this,
Yep.
run this app, run this device.
You have to unplug it, put it into a different USB port because we don't like that USB port today. We liked it yesterday, but we don't like it today.
Oh, well, when I first hooked up my Rift and my Vive, it was like, oh, no, you can't put that into the same board. And the other one is, oh, you must plug it into the same board. It was like, what?
Right. Yeah. All sorts of issues that you new Quest users don't even know about, and I don't even know about because I've never used a PCVR only headset.
Really?
So
that's how I got PCVR.
Yeah.
To me, this was great being able to go backwards and still be able to play great stuff, but
right.
And getting rid of the cables. That was to me the best thing.
Yeah. So, however, if Pimax ever comes out with a wireless Pimax, then maybe we can talk.
Right, exactly. Well, actually, if Quest ever supports a wireless headset, that would be something I would like to see as well.
Right. Well, yeah. Facebook is, I think, being a little stupid in some of their decisions about the wireless stuff because they wanted to work perfectly for all users before they will release a wireless link. Well, it's not going to work perfectly for all users.
You mean
everybody, well, almost everybody who has used virtual desktop is in love with it, and they prefer it to link. And yes, there can be setup issues where you have to figure it out. Like for the longest while, I was able to use the virtual desktop, but only for like 5 minutes at a time, and then I'd have to reconnect. And I finally got that fixed by ditching the Comcast modem and increasing my internet to a gigabyte connection as opposed to a non-gigabyte.
Right. Exactly.
So it was a throughput issue for me. But some users have other issues, like they want to do it through a hotspot. That can work, but it's not ideal, and you're not going to get the best experience. And so Facebook, their official stance so far is that they don't want people to have a suboptimal experience, so they're refusing to do it.
They allow the existence of SideQuest, but don't allow the existence of these programs to be downloaded directly. You have to download Once again, no sense there. Just policy decision.
No, I mean, in theory, at some point next year, because it's not going to come this year, at this point, but at some point next year, they're going to actually implement that. I'm not sure what the right term for it would be. Sideload store. And it will allow downloading from within the headset. But how exactly that's going to work, we haven't gotten any details on that. But a lot of people are speculating that you'll have a URL or something, and you can go in and install it that way, or who knows exactly how it'll work.
I would say most likely to reduce the friction, they're just going to have another app, which is going to be like a SideQuest type app, which they will be collecting their percentage on by allowing them to sit on the store and allow downloading through that particular vehicle,
Right.
because it's really only for Facebook to keep track of, the
Yeah.
licensing and everything else. So.
Yeah. Well, and it reduces friction for a lot of users because while you and I don't have an issue with hooking to SideQuest up on our computer and getting it working with a cable and all that, that's a lot of work for people that aren't actually techies. They just want this newfangled video game console.
Right, they just want to play a game. They want to plug
Right.
it in. They want to take out the controller and they want to play. That's it. Or
Right.
the same thing with the headset. They don't want to deal with being okay, I'm going to take 4 years to learn how to use a computer and then I'm going to play. It's just not that way. So.
Right. I mean, it's not that it necessarily takes 4 years to figure out how to use SideQuest, but
Right, I know. But
yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
Right, even the ADB, the debugging and everything. It's just there's so many things that people would have to learn if they haven't already been there. To just for VR is a lot.
SideQuest has progressed a lot since its first days, in that it tries to get everything set up for you so that you don't have to worry about ADB and all that. All you have to worry about is plugging it in, going through the prompts in the headset to allow it to talk to the computer, and then everything else is just plug it in, install, just don't unplug it until everything is done transferring, and then you're good.
Right, exactly. But you still have to do
it's still pretty easy, but there's still friction in that you have to hook it up to the computer.
Right.
So,
and also the other thing I have to say is that whoever came out with that Anchor charging station and decided to gear it for the lower end as opposed to the higher end made a really weird decision there. I don't get it. You can't fit, if you have the Quest with anything other than the original strap, it won't fit into the Anchor recharge system. So you have the Elite battery strap, which needs to be plugged in from the back, it won't work. So they're trying to sell you an accessory that only works with a setup that's on the lower end of the setups as opposed to the... they're giving you a high-end accessory.
Yeah, so it's not that it won't work with the Elite strap in general. It's just that it only plugs into the port on the headset itself.
Right.
Okay.
And since the Elite battery strap is meant to be plugged in only in one spot in the back, that does sort of violate everything towards the better strap. So it's kind of...
Yeah, well, maybe they'll be releasing a new product down the line that's for the battery strap. I don't know. Or maybe they were figuring that Oculus wasn't going to make any more of those because of the recall stuff, or so not the recall, but the stopping of the production of them.
Yeah,
so, who knows?
I don't know. That one is a tough one to kind of figure out.
But anyways, now we are rambling, which means that it's the end of the show.
Yeah, that is usually when the end comes. Isn't it funny? All right.
So thank you for bearing with us. And have a great weekend. And as soon as I'm done with this, I get to go see what my son wanted so badly.
But before we go, I want to be sure to wish you all a Happy New Year and a very Merry Christmas. Happy holiday season. Try and enjoy this last week of 2020, folks. And we will
remember, it's only one more week. And then 2020 is gone.
Gone. Forever.
Not even 1 week. He'll be gone on Thursday of next week. That's the last day of it.
It can't come soon enough for me.
And then it's next year.
That's cool.
And it all starts over again.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can discuss next year.
All right. Bye. Have a Happy New Year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. And that you also had an Oculus Quest 2 under the tree. And remember, as always, like, subscribe, drag your friends over there, and grab their hands and make them press like and subscribe also, after logging into their own accounts on YouTube.
Yes.
Because otherwise you will be unsubscribing yourself. So let's not do that.
That's true. We never mentioned that. We have no idea how many unsubscribed the week after they subscribed.
Bye. Have a good rest of your week.
Take